Let's talk about rapport. Rapport is probably the most important piece of sales in my opinion. Why? Because there's only one objection. The only objection you'll ever come across in sales, the only one, is trust. That's it. Trust. Not money, not spouse, not time. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is trust. And nobody buys from somebody they don't like. What's necessary for a sale to take place are someone has to know you, they have to like you, and they have to trust you. Rapport is where we create that trust. It's where we get to shine as a human being and we get to share and show our empathy towards other human beings. Rapport, a friendly, harmonious relationship, especially a relationship characterized by agreement, mutual understanding, or empathy that makes communication possible or easy. That's the whole point of what we do as salespeople. Number one, we want to get to an agreement, and we want to get to an agreement easily. How do we do that? Through communication and mutual understanding. Perfect definition. Rapport is sales, period. Period. Rapport is not this step that you hit at the beginning of a sales conversation. Rapport is a process that lasts through the entire relationship. It even starts before you get to the phone in the process that you create. There is no such thing as first impressions. I'm sure you've heard that quote before, right? When you're in person, showing up and dressing a certain way, making sure that your hair is well coiffed, and your first impression is huge. And that lasting impression, that impression that you continue to keep and maintain throughout your conversation, it's not a one-time thing. And I want to make sure that you get that out of your head if that was ever a thought. Never again. Sure, you're going to start with rapport at the beginning of your conversation and it's going to carry on. So, moving forward with that in mind, I want you to use the following framework to effortlessly connect with your prospect or lead every single time. How do we do it? Number one, through proper expectations. Number two, empathy. Number three, sincerity. And number four, being gentle. Let's go through each of those four pieces. Expectations. We know by the definition above that rapport is characterized by agreement. If this is true, we need to get on the same page with our lead and we need to do it fast. If you're two dots moving along a line trying to at some point connect and make a sale, it's really, really important that you define that path along the way. You, the salesperson who is in control of the conversation or should be in control of the conversation, it is your job to set that expectation. So, by setting an agreeable expectation at the beginning and frequently throughout your call, referring back to that same agreement often, you can rest assured that both you and your prospect will be marching toward that same goal. Number two, empathy. It is true that your lead may have their own expectations based on their own experiences. Let them know early that you're here to understand the context for their interest in this conversation. Should you be willing to truly hear the situation your lead has found themselves in, you will have a better picture of what solution and, more importantly, their why they may be in search of that solution. What is the problem? What is the pain that's brought them looking for a solution? There's varying degrees of pain, and we'll get into that later. Knowing this will put you in the right position to guide and facilitate a conversation from the leader or doctor standpoint. Number three, sincerity. This one is completely on you. The best salespeople stand out not because they're skilled, but because they genuinely care about their lead. So if you haven't been sincere, your lead is not going to trust you to walk through a tough conversation with them. You can't get into best friend mode, shoulder to cry on mode, psychologist, psychiatrist, trusted advisor mode if you haven't been sincere. If the person doesn't believe that you have their best interest in mind, they're going to shut off, and they're not going to give you not they're never going to give you the real answers, and therefore you're going to have every time you get a false answer, you're going to have, or rather your chance of closing a sale is going to drop every time you lose a little piece of trust. And it's subtle. It's not always obvious that you've lost trust. Number 4, gentle. Keeping those first 3 in mind, you want to progress slowly. If you jump right in and ask your lead something invasive, like how much money did you make last year, likely you will break trust and have a really hard time recovering. This harmonious relationship must develop at an appropriate pace. So keep those 4 things in mind going through your rapport building process, through your whole sales conversation, and you're going to have a way easier time getting sales. Let's talk about types of rapport. Now that we know what it is and the 4 pieces that are crucial to building rapport, let's talk about the types of rapport. First, we have personal rapport, and second, we have business rapport. Each lead is an individual, and therefore will have their own interests. Without digging, it can be difficult to find a relatable interest or topic. If we were to examine Maslow's hierarchy of needs, starting from the bottom widest section, we would find basic necessities like food, water, air, shelter, etc. If we were to jump right into someone's deepest needs without first earning their trust, well, I'm sure you've all met someone who is asking seemingly inappropriate questions. We all have that one friend. If you started at the widest point on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what you would find is that there's plenty of information that's uninvasive and people are willing to talk about it. This is why so often we see people discussing the weather, sports, possibly a favorite vacation spot. These, despite what other experts may tell you, are perfectly allowable early in the conversation, so long as they develop organically. They used to teach looking for pictures on someone's wall, and you can look for those pictures, but if I feel like I'm being investigated so that you can then get one over on me, rapport's gone. Out the door. I now know that you're trying to close me as opposed to help me, serve me, provide value for me. This is one of the things that makes us different from other salespeople. This is how you're going to come off as an ethical seller. So keep those in mind. One guaranteed way to relate to your lead is to discuss their need first. There was some level of expectation when the conversation started. Go back into the marketing and check what steps your lead went through prior to this conversation. As your conversation progresses, you'll find it important and easier to relate to their deeper needs. You'll notice that the next level in the pyramid shows personal security, employment, resources, health, and property, followed by friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. So to recap on personal, look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Start with their physiological needs, safety needs. Those are the widest at the bottom of the pyramid. If I jump right in and ask you, tell me your deepest problems and why it is that we need to solve them. Nobody wants to answer it because they don't trust who you are. The pyramid's going to give you an idea of what is okay to start with. Give me the 30,000 foot view, and then we'll take that 30,000 foot view, we'll go to 15, then we'll go to 7, then we'll go to 3. Let's get really dialed in, but we have to progress slowly. If you jump too soon, you will break rapport, and it will make it harder for you to ask great questions, and that is the epitome of what we do as salespeople. We ask great questions. Now, business. The above statements remain true for business owners, but the needs change to a bit more business focus. For this reason, you'll find that rapport for B2B sales comes in 2 parts, business and personal. Now, for B2B sale, you need to be aware of both sides and pay careful attention to both. Again, start with the conversation they are likely having in their head. If they've made it to a conversation with you, it is likely that your marketing or prospecting message resonated on some level. Whether this person or business needs more leads, fears a lawsuit, or is trying to find a software like the one you sell, Whatever the case may be, meet them at that understanding. This is the best way that I've found to date to get into a conversation with a business. At the end of the day, though, you are not speaking to a robot. The crossover between business and personal rapport is real. What I mean by that paragraph, when I typed it, my intention was to point out a business person has in their mind a thought about business needs, right? I don't want to lose my job. I need to get profits up. I need more leads, need more sales. Meet them at that need so that they know we're here for the same purpose. You're going to have plenty of opportunity to circle back to personal, but it's important that you go into it with in the right order. Now, that said, caveat, occasionally a business owner, a lead, somebody who's a decision maker inside of a business, they might be perfectly personable. They might have a great situation and they might be completely willing to talk about the weather or sports or vacation. Don't neglect the personal. If they're asking for it and you hear it in their voice that they want to go down that path, certainly. Whatever you want to go into, if you need help creating rapport, focus on the business need and the personal side will start to come out as you get into the sales conversation. So one of the quotes, I love this quote. I heard it when I was selling to some enterprise level companies. Decisions are made on the golf course. The above quote is true, but depends greatly on the lead's perceived authority within their company. The individual fears the decision to do business with your company could result in them looking bad and or possibly losing their job. Where do you believe this fits into Maslow's pyramid? Safety, security, that sort of thing. There is a crossover between business and personal when you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All of these things are really, really important for you to take into consideration. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you build rapport.